Hey folks, I'm Keith Ford. I'm here at Brownell's booth. I'm one of the Guntechs at Brownell's. We're live at SHOT Show 2018, and we're right here with Mr. John Hollister, the sensei of silence, the soothsayer of suppression, but most of all, my good buddy.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
sir. And we're here talking about Sig silencers.
Yes, sir.
What's new, John?
So for Sig silencers, Sig suppressors, this year we have what we call an SUR 300, which is a suppressed upper receiver. A lot of you may know there was a project recent for the military called Surge. Not the same thing. This is actually a 300 blackout. We are going to come out with a 5.56 version as well. But this upper actually is a 6 3/4 inch 300 blackout barrel.
Cool.
With a 10-inch silencer. It's an all grade 5 titanium. And then those are pinned and welded so that it's a one tack stamp.
Sweet.
Now, the upper is a MCX upper, MCX Virtus.
Yep.
So it'll work with a MCX and MCX Virtus lower. But because not everybody out there has an MCX yet, every one of them, every gun guy's got a AR-15 receiver and they're safe. You look like a man has two.
Maybe.
More.
Maybe. I cannot confirm nor deny the
Correct.
amount of ARs I have.
So with this, it comes with a conversion block that will turn a standard AR-15 receiver into an MCX receiver. It comes with a folding knuckle to put a AR stock on, and it comes with a 2-stage match trigger. So basically all you need is the lower and you've got a whole gun.
Nice.
And this right here in subsonic, when it comes to using a silencer, everybody wants to know what the sound is. So an MP5SD, which is the gold standard of 9mm subguns, is about 128 decibels. Extremely quiet.
Super quiet. I've shot
And
them.
there's a lot of stuff out there on the market in 300 blackout that's about 128 dB. This will actually get you down to about 121, or about 7 dB quieter than an MP5SD.
Cool. Yeah, the ejection port will be louder than the.
If you're going to hear noise, it's going to be coming out of the ejection port. And of course, you can also use supersonic ammo. So I've been hunting with one of these for about 2 years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So what else has Sig got going on?
Well, we've got the 365, which has been really, really great for us.
That's a neat little handgun.
Yeah, and you got to shoot it.
Yes,
What
I
did you
did.
think
Sig
of it?
range day was
Right.
awesome.
What did you think?
It was great. It was very compact, fit my hand good. It was super slim.
It's an inch thick,
Amazing.
and people keep asking us, like, how do you do that magic trick of doing that? And the magazine really is the impetus for that gun. We designed the magazine before the gun.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of IP in the magazine. We've actually got 5 patents pending on the magazine alone.
Yeah.
And when we designed it, it goes down into a single stack. So we call it a stack and a half, not a double stack.
Yeah.
And then they designed the gun around the magazine. And that's how you get such a small gun. Design a small magazine.
Yeah, it's an amazing gun.
Right, and
Amazing.
they are shipping right now. We started shipping them to stores on Monday.
Sweet. Sweet. Now, give me the rundown on Sig silencers. What? I know that they look different than everybody else.
They do, and they are different than
Yeah.
everybody else. So when you look at our rifle silencers, the first thing you notice is that there's not a tube over the outside. When you see those lines on the side of the silencer, that is the baffle welds. And almost every legitimate larger company out there uses 100% or 100% circumferential welding. Try saying that 3 times. To make that, and then they put a tube over the outside. That tube really acts like suspenders in a belt to hold it all together. But because of the geometry that we use and the welding that we use, we don't have to have suspenders and a belt. So we don't need that tube over the outside. That tube over the outside also adds to the girth of the suppressor. The industry average for a 5.56 or 7.62 suppressor is 1.5 inches in diameter on the tube. So if we took that tube away, the suppressor underneath the core is going to be about 1.3 inches.
Okay.
And that's the amount of volume that suppressor can hold on the inside of it. In Inconel steel, we start out at 1.625, and we don't have a tube over the outside. So we've got about 20% more internal volume inside that suppressor. In titanium, because titanium's lighter, we can make a bigger suppressor for the same kind of weight. So we go to 1.75, or about 50% more than average volume.
Cool.
You know, pi gets exponentially bigger.
Yeah. I mean, the more volume in there, less sound.
Exactly. So I have more area in there. I've got less pressure in the suppressor, which means less back pressure to the gun. When we've got a larger surface, it heats slower. When we have a larger surface, it cools faster.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of advantage out of that. So I get all the time people go, it doesn't look like everybody else's silencer. And I go, you're right. It's not. It's not everybody else's silencer. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we do that.
Yeah, they're amazing. What other cans does Sig have?
We have a 22 called the 22X, SRD 22X. The gold standard for the last few years has been about 114 decibels on a rifle. The 22X will get you down to about 110 decibels on a rifle. I refer to it as stupid quiet.
Right, yeah.
You know, and you've shot it.
Oh yeah, I've shot it.
It is less than an air gun.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We also do handgun, 9mm, 45. Some of the frequently asked questions are, can you use your 45 on a 9? Absolutely. Can you use your 7.62 on a 5.56? Absolutely. I'm the guy that started that in 2005, right? But like in our handgun silencers, there's a piston inside of everybody's handgun silencers that allow it, that's what threads to the barrel. And if you have a Sig 226 in 9mm, that thread pitch is metric 13.5 by 1. So your silencer is going to come with that in the box. But if you have, say, a aftermarket Glock barrel, or you bought a 320 barrel from Brownells, that barrel is going to be half 28, which is not the same. So in the box, in the silencer, comes a half 28 piston, so that you can use it, and those are the two most popular. In 45, we give you a metric 16.5 by 1 and a 5.78 28, which would be like Sig 45s, 1911s, FN. Those are going to be in the Imperial, but while you'll see an HK would be a metric 16. All that comes in the box. If you're going to put it on an MCX, metric 13.5, you have to use a fixed barrel spacer to keep it from beating on the end of the gun. Comes in the box. Sweet. Nothing you have to buy.
Sweet. That's awesome. The pistol. Now, which ones do you have for the pistol? What's the model number?
So in 9mm, it's going to be SRD, or Signature Reduction Device. 9.
Okay.
Guess which one that is? 9. So guess which one that is? 9mm.
9mm, yeah.
And then SRD 45. And the 45 can be used on 40 or 9 with the correct piston.
Cool.
And we sell pistons as an accessory.
Now, these, what's the warranty on Sig? I mean,
we will take care of it. If you break it, we'll fix it.
Fix it, cool. There's no user serviceable parts or anything like that.
In the
no
rifle,
need to clean it.
Not at all. Not at all. Because of the heat that rifle works at, it kind of burns everything up. It's sort of like I ask people, have you ever taken the muffler off your car and cleaned it? Well, no, it just falls off on its own, right? For a user serviceable, 22 is very, very dirty.
Yeah.
So that one comes apart, so you can clean it. Comes with a little plastic tool so you don't mar up the finish. Take the end cap off, pour out the baffles. They're shielded baffles, so you don't get crud between the baffle and the tube. They just come right out. In our handgun, 945, same thing. Take the end cap off, pour the baffles right out, clean them up. Something else that's unique with us is in our 22, just like everybody else, the tube's going to be titanium or aluminum. Ours are titanium, grade 9 titanium. The blast baffle is 17.4 stainless steel. A lot of companies also use aluminum after that because it's a low pressure, and they do it for lightweight. But our 22 is all steel baffles all the way through it, so you can use more aggressive cleaning, any of that. In our handgun cans, again, aluminum titanium tube. Ours is titanium, steel blast baffle. Most people will do aluminum baffles after that. Typically they're hard coat anodized for protection, but they do that for lightweight. Our baffles are all 17.4 stainless, and why we do that is our MPX submachine gun. We sell it to countries all around the world.
Yeah, a lot of military contracts.
Exactly, and in the U.S., subsonic ammunition is very easy to get. But in a lot of countries, you get what you get, and mostly it's NATO ammo, which is plus P rated, and you can use that in that can. But if you have aluminum baffles, after 1,500, 2,000 rounds, you start cracking and crushing the baffles. So because we make a subgun that's sold around the world, our 9mm and 45 handgun cams can be adapted to it, and also have all steel baffles all the way through.
Cool.
Greater durability.
Sweet. Silencer ownership.
Yes, sir.
Now, that's $200 tax stamp. Year wait. Right now, wait time's kind of
They're coming down.
A little bit.
Trusts, I hear, are a little bit longer now,
Yeah.
but individuals, I'm hearing some coming back in 4 to 6 months. A personal friend of mine did 3 and got them back in 6 weeks.
That's quick.
It is.
That's
It is.
super
So
quick.
we're seeing it come down, and it's going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
But it's easy to do.
Sweet. Now, one thing I remember, Sig's taper mount. That's kind of unique to Sig, isn't it?
It is. The taper, we utilize a taper on our rifle barrels. We don't have a 90-degree shoulder. And there's actually a little adapter. If you owned another manufacturer's suppressor and you wanted to use it on a tapered shoulder, it comes with the adapters to do that. All of our suppressors, our rifle suppressors, work off of a tapered muzzle, but will work on, say, a Brownell's 308 AR 308 or on your 5.56
Yes, sir.
models just as well as anybody else's out there. So it doesn't matter if it's a square shoulder or a taper, works perfect. But the reason that we utilize a taper, really 2 reasons. One is to center that suppressor when we're putting it on. We talk a lot about point of impact shift.
Yeah.
Well, I know about you that you're very much into manufacturing. CNC tools are based off of tapers because
Yes.
tapers
Oh, yeah.
self-center, and the tool returns to 0. So that's what we do. By utilizing a taper mount and putting a taper on the muzzle, that suppressor goes back to the original location every single time. Now, if you're going to use it on one of your barrels here, I would recommend one of our QD suppressors.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a square shoulder, but when you put the QD mount onto your barrel and you rock set it in place, you're applying that taper that's on the muzzle device.
Yeah.
So you get that centering every time you put the suppressor on.
Cool. Now, y'all just come out with a mount too that has a muzzle brake on it as well.
We do actually. All of our QD rifle silencers come with a muzzle brake in the box.
Sweet.
And you can buy more. You can buy flash hiders. But you know me, I'm a big one on, if I buy a car, I shouldn't have to go put wheels on it before I
Right.
can drive it. So we give you everything in the box you need to put it on your gun.
Sweet. That's awesome. Man, silencers are, to me, just amazing. What got you interested in silencers in the beginning?
So as a young man, you know, I come from law enforcement. In 1985, a very young, dumb kid, you know, the firearms training unit knew that I was a gun guy. And they were going to have a demo, and HK was the demo. And they invited me to come out. It was on Saturday morning. Friday night, I'd go out and get hammered drunk. I was a kid. And I woke up late and almost wrecked my motorcycle getting to the range. And as soon as I walked on the range, they handed me an MP5 SD. First time I'd ever touched one. Handed me a magazine and said, go shoot this. So I go over, load it up, and from the first round that I fired, I was stunned. And, you know, it was like Blues Brothers. You know, the scene in the church, the skies part, and the beam of light hits him in the face. You know, why are not all guns like this? And that's what really got me into firearm suppressors, and was buying them on my own and getting them for, you know, our duty use. And when I retired, I ended up going to work for Advanced Armor Corporation.
AAC.
And loved it. And then we got into developing 300 Blackout, which is 300 AAC Blackout. And one of the requirements to bring this all for a full circle of the 300 Blackout was, one of the requirements from the military customer was that with subsonic ammunition, it be no louder than an MP5 SD, which is 128 dB. So to be able to shoot a rifle that was as quiet as an MP5 SD was insane. Now that was 2010. We're in 2018. Now we've got an upper here in 300 Blackout that not only can outdo that, but outdo it and get you down into the extremely low 120s, 121. So it's a fulfillment of that day in 1985 for me.
Man, that's amazing.
And they're much more popular now. They're much more legal around the world. When I got into it, there was only 24 states in America that you could own a suppressor as an individual. Right. There are now 42, and in 40 of those you can hunt.
Yeah, Iowa, we just got 2 years ago, I believe.
That's actually where you and I met, remember?
Yes, sir. Yep, sure did.
So we got you there. We got hunting and possession in Iowa.
Yeah.
And subsequently, you guys have SBRs
Yes,
now.
July of last year, our new Omnibus Act, we got SBRs, short-barreled rifles, SBSs, short-barreled shotguns. Fortunately, we don't have machine guns yet. But we're working on it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I mean, what is your favorite suppressed gun? I mean, handgun, machine gun, rifle?
Well, I'm pretty much like everybody else out there, and I'll tell you, statistically, 22s are 40% of the market, rifle is 40% of the market, handgun is 20% of the market. There is nothing like going to the range with a bolt-action 22 and taking your daughter out to the range, and she can shoot, and sitting there playing with a 22. Additionally, when we go into the rifle, in my opinion, there is no reason in the world not to have a suppressor on your rifle.
Absolutely.
So my favorite gun to shoot is a Sig MCX, and we talked about my coming from another company. The MCX is one of the reasons that I came. I love the MCX. It's an actual short stroke gas piston that's quiet. I'll put ours up against anybody out there in the world. So for me, it's 300 blackout, sub or super, with a 9-inch 6.75, or the new Rattler, which is a 5.5-inch barrel. You can't beat it.
Yeah. Now the Rattler, it's in 300 blackout, 5.56, correct?
Right now we have 300 blackout out. 5.56 is coming out.
Now that one won't be able to be suppressed, will it?
Well, what we did is most manufacturers do not recommend using a less than a 10-inch barrel for suppression.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, as you cut the barrel down, you don't burn all the powder, and it bead blasts at supersonic velocity inside of your suppressor. So we're bringing out a 5.5-inch. So we're going to have a pin and welded muzzle device on there. You obviously can cut it off, and you're a big boy, you can do what you want. But we don't recommend using a suppressor on it.
Yep. Cool. Why is it so hard to buy a simple, a suppressor is just a simple metal tube. We design, some of them, Inconel, titanium, stuff like that.
But it's a muffler for a gun.
It's a muffler for a gun. Why is it so hard to get one?
It dates back really to the 1920s and 1930s. So in the 1920s, we had prohibition. Luckily, we were not part of that generation.
Yeah.
And for 11 years, you could not possess, sell, make alcohol. And then the Supreme Court said, you can't take a legal product and then make it illegal on Tuesday, but you can tax it. So what happened was, in the early 1930s, we had Machine Gun Kelly, Bonnie and Clyde, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and law enforcement said, we're being outgunned. We don't run around with machine guns. Yeah. So we don't want bad guys to be able to have them. And they decided to take all of those things, short-barreled shotguns, short-barreled rifles, machine guns, revolvers, and handguns.
They were on the list.
And were on the list, and they were going to put a $200 tax on them. And I got a trivia question about that in just a second for you. And at the last minute, they put firearm suppressors on the list. And the reason they did that was we were in the midst of the Great Depression, and the government was afraid that you, to feed your family, would go into a national forest and kill a deer on the king's land. Or you would go onto a farmer's property and kill a cow, and the farmer wouldn't be able to hear you. So they put them on the NFA at the last minute and charged that $200 tax. Now, $200 in 1934 was like buying a car. A silencer costs $3.25, but you had to pay a $200 tax to own it. So why is it $200? Do you know that?
That to discourage you from buying it.
Yes, but they actually have a reason it's $200. The user tax was to be a 100% user tax, and the most expensive machine gun of the day was a Thompson submachine gun. And in 1934, a Thompson submachine gun cost
$200.
$200, and that's why it's still $200 today.
Yeah.
And if it went up with the price of Thompson's, $35,000-$50,000 today.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
19. At that time, 7 ounces of gold was $200.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's crazy.
So it's still $200 today, and $200 is a lot more reasonable today. So it's not really the big hurdle. It's the amount of time that it takes for the paperwork to be processed.
Yeah.
I hear that from everybody.
Yeah, wait time is ridiculous.
They are, honestly, but it's one of those things. I talk to people all the time, and they go, "Well, I'm going to wait till it comes down, the wait times." Okay, so what if that's 2 years? Well, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Well, I just told you it's 4 months to 6 months. If you put it in 4 to 6 months, the best time in the world to put your paperwork in was 4 to 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So do it now. Every day you wait to turn that paperwork in is another day you wait to get it. And you only get so many days. You're wasting your days.
Wasting your day.
Yeah.
It's kind of like waiting to play the lottery whenever it's like, oh, it's only 40 million. It's not worth my time.
It's not worth winning $40 million. I'm going to wait till it's $500 million.
Yeah, no, man, just do it. If you want a silencer,
I mean, honestly, could you live off of $60 million?
I might have to cut back. I mean,
right.
Yeah. I might own an island somewhere in the Pacific.
Right, but I still play the lottery.
Yeah, I've still played the lottery. But yeah, just the way that they've got it set up to buy silencers or suppressors, same difference, either one. They've just tried to discourage the general public from buying them and stuff.
Well, and it's partially our fault.
Yeah.
Well, my fastest transfer I've ever done was 27 days, and that was normal back in the day when there was few people who were into suppressors. Right. But through legislative action, through TV, through the internet, we demystified the process. I can remember when people would say, "Oh, you don't want to buy a suppressor. Why not?" Well, if you get approved, look, it's not a bank loan. You're not buying a car. It's not based on your FICO score.
Right.
If you're not a convicted felon, a prohibited person, you can buy one. In any of the 42 states, if you can walk into a gun store, a gun store and you can buy a rifle, congratulations, you can legally buy a suppressor.
Yeah. First one I bought was from a guy. He had a little shop in his basement.
Right.
And it was like, okay, I'm buying a silencer and stuff, and it's like, well,
you feel kind of dirty,
right?
Yeah,
you feel kind of dirty. It's
so
like,
I tell
but it felt
folks,
so good.
my mom, when I bought my first one, I told my mom that I bought a silencer, and she started to cry. She failed as a mom. I was going to be a hitman, the whole bit.
Yeah, but in silencers, they're never used in a crime. I mean,
well, and I'm kind of an expert in this area, but since 1934, there's been 6 or 8 that I can point to. Now we talked about when they were going to make them illegal, and it was a theoretical crime of poaching. Between 1895 to 1934, there was only one crime shown to be. It was a contract homicide with an .383 rifle and a Maxim silencer.
Yeah.
One. And I can point to about 6 or so that have occurred since then. Toaster ovens are used in more crimes than firearm suppressors.
Yeah, hammers, stuff
Hammers,
like that.
Yeah. If we go back into the history books of the first homicide ever that occurred, was a rock. Cain and Abel.
Yep.
People will find a way
to do it.
But you punish people. Now, you and I have not even sat here and talked about hearing benefits.
Yeah, what's the hearing benefits on?
A rifle like your rifle right over there on the wall there, the AR.
Yeah.
Those are 165 decibel when you fire it. Hearing safer impulse or impact noise like a gunshot's 140. You're going to damage your hearing permanently.
Absolutely.
There was a law enforcement officer in California that fired 3 shots from a rifle at a bad guy, and he lost 30% of his hearing. There's no reason that should happen. We have the technology right here.
Right. A silencer is a lot cheaper than a $2,500 pair of hearing aids.
I was talking to a vet who told me his payment on his hearing aids, even with his insurance, was more than buying a silencer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once you shoot with a silencer on your firearm, you'll never go back.
You'll never go back.
Never go back.
You know, I always love, my favorite is they go, I want to buy one. Okay.
Try eating one potato chip.
That's
Tell me how that
exactly. It's
works.
like walking over, I just want one Oreo.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
It's one of the few things in life that actually lives up to the hype.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, how did you're the man on silencers, the history of them and everything.
Hey man, but go ahead.
Yeah. Really, how did they come about?
How did they come about?
What's
Well,
the history of them?
The guy that invented it, a guy by the name of Hiram Percy Maxim. Hiram Percy Maxim's father was Hiram Stevens
Yes,
Maxim,
sir.
and he invented semi-auto and full-auto firearms, the Maxim
Yes, sir.
machine
Maxim
gun.
machine gun.
So one day he's out hunting and he's laying on the ground and he fires his rifle at an animal and gets covered in dirt and covered in grass and was like, you know, there's got to be a way to take that gas that comes out the end of the barrel and work the action of the gun to let it make it self-load. Well, his son was very much in the family of inventors.
Yeah.
So Hiram Percy Maxim envisioned a day that people could shoot in their basement, or a mom could take their daughter out in the front yard and shoot a .22 and be polite with the neighbors and not damage their hearing. So what he did was he figured out that the big booming noise we have is the gas coming out of the barrel. So like if you and I are here in Las Vegas and we go out and we get a bottle of champagne and we push the cork out of the bottle of champagne, pop.
Yeah.
Well, that pop has nothing to do with the cork. It has to do with the gas that's coming from the bottle. So the big boom that we hear, guns make several noises. The action noise, the bullet moving through the air, but that big boom that covers everything else is the uncorking noise of the bullet at the barrel. When that supersonic gas escapes, even if the bullet is subsonic, the gas behind it is supersonic and is going to enter and still burning and create that big boom. So a silencer or a suppressor is a mechanical device that when added to the front of a firearm, when the gases enter into the suppressor, it slows, cools, and redirects those gases and only allows them to escape after they have slowed in velocity and lowered in pressure, more like the ambient pressure around it. That's science.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how that works. And if we use a bullet which is traveling under the speed of sound, 1,050-ish feet per second, then we don't have that big boom. It's very quiet, very pleasant to shoot.
Yeah.
So that while your daughter and you are out shooting, you can talk to her like this.
Yeah.
We don't have these big earmuffs on top of her, and you can correct her shooting. You're not making her nervous.
Yeah.
Make her even a better shooter.
Yep. She shot a 308 bolt action without a silencer on it, and then second time she shot it with.
Right.
She said she'd never shoot it without it again.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, first time she's small. You've seen her.
Right.
Very small, petite, and without it, it just beat her to death.
So, which I will tell you that in addition to lowering the sound, there are other benefits that occur. Number one, remember I said about the gas all blowing up around you? Doesn't do that. It's a very gentle push of gas. A firearm suppressor, a well-made suppressor on a well-made firearm, will typically cut your groups in half. And one of the reasons that it does that is a firearm suppressor is the best crown you can put onto a firearm. You don't have all that gas coming out on the end because it's slowing, cooling, redirecting. So we get better accuracy. It also reduces the recoil of most firearms by 40 to 50%. And that because we don't have the big jet of gas. I tell people it'll make you more accurate for two reasons. One of them's a little insulting. One is that it's going to separate the gas from the bullet as it exits, so therefore it doesn't have as big an effect on it, which makes the bullet more accurate.
Yeah.
The second one is you're not going to flinch because it's not beating tar out of you.
Yeah.
And they go, well, I don't flinch. I've been shooting all my life.
Bogus.
Right. You put me out on a range with a 338 Lapua Magnum, and the first round I light off is going to be perfect. But after about 6 of them, I'm going to be kind of trying to get away from it. But if I can cut the recoil in half, I don't have that big painful experience.
Right. And if there's several guys at the range too, you're not blowing them away with the noise effect. I mean, just nasty. It's polite to shoot.
It is, and remember that we were talking about it'll make it more accurate. So I'm out one day at a range and I see guys shooting 300 Win Mag with a can on it, and I walked over and I was like, you're shooting, right? He's like, we don't talk about that. This is official equipment. I can use all of this. If they choose not to, that's on them.
Yeah.
And now when you see all these competitions out there, the PRS and all that, everybody's running. They've all figured it out.
Figured it out. Yeah, it's amazing. Now, foreign countries, several European countries, there's no regulation on silencers at all.
Well, there is a little bit. There are 12 countries in the EU that you can own them, but typically they're the same regulations of owning a firearm. So if you're in Germany and you want to own a firearm suppressor, the same hoops you have to jump through to buy a firearm is the ones you buy for this. But there are a couple, like Poland is an example, or what's the U country next to Poland?
Let's see, I'm trying to think. Let's see, Poland,
Ukraine.
Germany, Ukraine.
Ukraine, you don't have any, so you can just buy it and put it on there. And use them. New Zealand's another one. You can own a firearm and you can go into a store and buy one.
Yeah, buy one. I believe it was Norway or Sweden.
They absolutely can have them.
Yeah.
All the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, they're easy. No problems there. To me, honestly, there should be no reason to have to jump through all the hurdles to buy a piece of metal that a bullet will drop clear through.
It's a safety device.
Yeah,
imagine if to put seat belts in your car, it costs you $200 tax.
Right, exactly.
And again, this is hearing protection that we can put on the front of a gun for everybody. And we as gun guys love to take our children and our godchildren, in my case, to the range and have them shoot. But we put the biggest muffs on them that we can, and they don't fit correctly. And when they get up next to the rifle, they push out of the way, and we're damaging their hearing. If we're trying to give them instruction, we're yelling at them over those earmuffs, which sends the wrong message. Imagine being able to put a .22 suppressor on a rifle, and it'd be less than an air gun, and we can talk back and forth. Nice, calm voice, and teach them correctly how to do it.
Absolutely, it's easier. You're say, hey, just move it over a little bit like that instead of having to pull them off and whatever. And there's summertime, you're sweating your ears off.
Absolutely,
it's a mess. Owning a silencer, buying a silencer. What all is the process of having to get one?
So, if you live in one of the 42 states that you can own them, and if you don't know what they are, any of the websites out there for any of the companies, including Sig, will tell you. But if you live in a state which does not like firearms, they probably don't like suppressors.
Yeah.
Illinois, California, New York, New Jersey, Hawaii, you can't own them there as an individual. But the vast majority, 42 of the states, you can own them. You would go to a dealer in your state which you reside, just like buying a handgun, and that dealer has to have what's called a special occupational tax. And you're going to walk in, and he's going to have them in his store.
Brownells, we carry silencers.
They do. They have a
Sig
great,
silencers.
absolutely. They have a great store. If you're in Iowa, you've got to stop. You'll go into the store, say, I want to buy that Sig SRD9. You're going to fill out a form called a Form 4, which is a transfer of an NFA firearm. You're going to pay your $200, fingerprints and pictures, send it off. Time passes. You call them up and go, Jim, happy day. Your paperwork came back. Come on down. He skids to a halt on your doorstop.
We've seen that.
Right, and takes it home and has it forever and can use it anytime he wants until he wants to buy another one. Comes right back down to Brownells, goes, that was so much fun. What else you got? And I'll tell you that it'll change how you buy guns too.
It does.
You're not going to buy another gun that you can't adapt to be able to shoot on it.
With I love old guns.
Please.
Yeah.
I live vicariously through your Instagram.
That's the only thing that gets me about some of the older guns is non-threaded barrels and stuff like that, Lugers and whatever. But if I could thread them, dude, I'd have a silencer on every one of them.
You and I are at, right now, if you're getting into guns, you buy stuff with threaded barrels, and the first time you do it, but then you crest that curve and you're like, a German Luger is a fine firearm, or an 03A3. So we're going to end up buying stuff that we can't put it on. But for the vast majority of stuff, at their point in lifetime, they're not going to buy anything they can't put a silencer on.
Cool. Anything else you can think of?
Just happy to be here, and my hey, since we're doing an interview,
Yes, sir.
do I get a discount off of my bill from you guys that I keep paying off every year?
I'll see if I can work on that.
Thanks.
Buddy, thank you. Appreciate
Anytime, whatever you need.
Yes, sir. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Facebook, Instagram.
Well, and I'd say also that if you want more information on this or any of our products, go to sigsauer.com. Register up on our Instagram or our YouTube account. Find out about every new product we have coming out, like our 365.
Cool. Thanks for watching, folks. Enjoyed it.